So this is a new thing I'm doing, and yes, I'm recording off my computer's webcam. I just figured it'd be easier than setting up my phone and recording off of that. Plus, it'll make editing a little bit easier because I do have some pictures I need to throw in. But this is a new thing that I'm doing. After a few years, I am back in the Dungeon Master seat, and I'm running my friends through a Dungeons & Dragons campaign set in the Vampire Hunter D universe. There are only two players right now, a couple friends of mine, Toby and his wife Desi. We were hoping our other friend Marcus would be able to join us, but he got mandated to work, or voluntold if you prefer. We're hoping he can join us starting with the next session, but with his work schedule, we might have to make him one of those drop in, drop out type of characters. Anyway, welcome to the first entry of this campaign diary, I guess we can call it. So this was Toby and Desi's first introduction to this universe. I was wanting to show them one of the movies, primarily the second one, Bloodlust, but silly me, I forgot to bring it out this time, so I'll have to remember to bring it out next time. That way they have some idea of how this world looks and works besides my nerdy ramblings. So we open up with their characters. Toby is playing a tiger shifter arcane archer named Susilo, who recently broke out of prison after a failed Barbaroid rebellion, and Desi is playing a Dhampir alchemist named Gwen, short for Guinevere, who is the half-vampire daughter of the noble Von Drake family. In this first session, they were part of a caravan going from the village of Raisin to the village of Tepish. Let me grab a map that I made about a year or so ago. There is no world map for this universe, official or otherwise, so I went ahead and made one up last May. So they're going, hopefully this shows up on camera, from here to here, which is about a 3-week trip, and they have to do a quick delay, but we'll get to that. Susilo had been hired on as a guard, and Gwen was looking for more components for her various potions and the like, alchemist and all that. Of course, start them off with some roleplay, get to know each other. There's a couple NPCs, talk to them. The NPCs were named Kylam Toresti, who is mechanically a Goliath barbarian and a dragon hunter, along with his dragon hunter partner, a human woman named Christina Mars, a human fighter. And there was what I'm calling an aberration hunter, mechanically a warforged gunslinger named Jasper Baxter. Don't ask me where some of these names came from, they just right out of the head. As I said, there was some roleplay, so the players get to know each other, and a brief encounter with a sandworm, mechanically a purple worm. And by brief encounter, what I mean is they're in the lead wagon of this caravan, and it comes to a stop, and the driver, whose name is Harper, is like, don't trust that ground. Another wagon circled around, it's like, no, we're not waiting, and promptly got gobbled up by a sandworm. I'd be lying if I said I didn't expect one of the players to want to fight it. Note to new DMs, it is okay to tell your players, do not fight this thing, it is way out of your league. If they had to fight it, that'd be 2 third-level characters plus 3 third-level NPCs fighting the equivalent of a purple worm, which is like a challenge rating 17, very high. Like, you do not fight this thing until you're at least level 12. Not unless you want to suffer a very quick death. So eventually they reach town, and I described the morbid scene at the bottom of a dried-up river. The way I explained it is, this river is dry because the local weather controller is on the fritz, turning what should be a brisk spring day into a sweltering summer heat wave, and as such, the river has dried up. This gave me an excuse to put in a reference to the second book, namely the botched vampire kill at the beginning, where the vampire broke an arm out of the coffin it had been contained in and killed the vampire hunter who'd been hired to destroy it. Just a bit of a lore drop that really only matters to me. Anyway, 2 players went their own ways after getting to town. Gwen had found her way to an old lady who was able to get her the things she was looking for, which included, and there was a list, as he brought out a grocery store receipt to use as a prop, It was like literally about that long. She was looking for alkaline, chlorine. Who the hell says chlorine? Alkaline, chlorine, coal, a few other things I'm forgetting right now. Susilo kind of got lost in town, but found his way to the saloon. His goal was to find a party to go with him back to Barbaroi. For those who don't know, Barbaroi in the world of Vampire Hunter D is a village home to mutants, monsters, and genetic freaks, and is generally not a place many people want to go to unless they have a good reason. Naturally, nobody wanted to go with him, but he was directed by a street urchin to go talk to the mayor. Met up with Gwen on the way, and after they met and spoke with the mayor, there was another lore drop about the events of the second book. 4 kids who were kidnapped by vampires 10 years back. 3 came back, and all eventually died because they were experimented on to be made into artificial vampires who could walk in the daylight, but molecular instability hits like a truck. The 2 were directed to check in with the town sheriff. They were looking to join the vigilance committee while they were in town. In the middle of the application process, a woman named Harmony Tarshan came into the office to demand the sheriff to do something about her missing father. The sheriff, and everyone else in town, wasn't willing to do anything because Harmony's father, an old man named Gregory, he has a tendency to wander off for days at a time. Harmony was worried because her father had said he was going to the Noble Hill. Noble Hill. See, this is the thing about, I wrote down notes so I knew what I was talking about, but still, you tend to get tongue-tied. Anyway, Harmony's father had said that he was going to the Noble Ruins on the hill to the northwest of town. The players recognized the plot hook and took it. Thank you. Most players tend to try to avoid plot hooks as much as they can, so it's actually really appreciated when they do take the plot hook. It's like, guys, I am dangling it in front of you. It's here. This is the plot hook. Follow it. Come on. Come on. Fortunately, I didn't have to do that with them. I almost never had to do that with, even back when I was a regular DM. When I say regular DM, it's been only like 4 years since that. 4 years is a long time. Anyway, they recognized the plot hook, took it, and Harmony led them to the hill, and Gwen and Cecile started climbing up the hill. And this is where I introduced them to one of the nobility's many defenses. For anyone wondering, in this universe, the vampires called them, their race, the nobility, because they viewed themselves greater than the lowly humans. Anyway, this defense was a form of space-time warping technology. What this means is to climb a 60-foot hill at not a steep grade, just a slight grade, which should only take a few minutes, takes instead about 8 hours to get to the top. But they figured out that going down the hill and around the other side didn't have this issue. That's how they got to the ruined castle, which at one point was the nobility center for calculation. And after going through the ruined castle and viewing some of the surviving paintings, there were 3 that were described, one of which showed Gwen's grandfather, who doesn't have a name yet, among the noble conquerors. Another shows vampires breaking out of their coffins and reaching for the sun even as their skin burns off. And the third shows the nobility's sacred ancestor, who's really Dracula, though few, if any, vampires know that. So, they find a set of stairs, and down they go to the underground lab, and that's where we had our first dungeon crawl. I'll post a picture of the layout, though do note that this was when I was preliminarily making it and figuring out the layout. I had to make adjustments for when we actually set it up at the game table. This is also where we had our first combat encounter of the campaign, where they were ambushed in one of the libraries by 4 zombies who were hiding behind a bookshelf. The players took some damage, yes, that's to be expected, but were ultimately victorious. And we all had a good laugh at one of the zombies who got caught in Gwen's grease spell and just kept failing its dex save. You ever see a zombie do a pratfall? This one just couldn't stop. You get up and flip, fall on its face. You get up, flip, fall on its back. And at one point, I even rolled that it hit the ground so hard, it took a bit of damage and shattered its nose. Gotta throw in some humor where you see it. But after the fight, the players backtracked the way they'd come in this dungeon and went down the path they'd missed earlier and soon found Gregory. Turned out that he had found his way in here through a secret passage and was looking for noble tech to repurpose for human use. It's not the first time this has happened in this universe. It's not going to be the last, but it's one of the first times in this particular area. He also wanted to study what he called the science of magic, which really connected with Cicillo, especially when it turned out they both had a theory about how magic is done through the use of nanomachines. And that was where the first session ended. Overall, it was a pretty good first session. I talked to Toby and Desi after, and they both said they had a great time, and yeah, I did too. As I've said earlier, it's been about 4 years since I was a DM before tonight, and I kind of forgot how much I missed it. Really looking forward to the next session, which is probably going to have a lot more roleplay and lead into me transplanting the first starter kit adventure, Lost Mines of Phandelver, into this game.